Hey Joe, do you all of a sudden feel like a divine presence amongst us?
I do.
What is that?
My heart's pounding a little bit, you know? I feel like someone can predict the futures here. Bass fishing. You know?
Man,
I feel it.
there's like a deity like amongst us, man.
Yeah.
What's going on?
I feel like a wizard-like presence has just come over us.
Like a gray wizard or like a white wizard?
Like a white wizard, the lake wizard.
Oh, the lake wizard.
Yeah.
We shall investigate.
Looks familiar. This is it. What's happening?
We knew we felt something.
You feel something?
We felt the divine presence of Bass Jesus himself.
You feel the presence? I'm looking at the aftermath here.
Oh man, there's
Wow.
nothing to see.
This is going to be good for the show.
Yeah, they're gonna eat this stuff up at Fred Hall.
Fred Hall hasn't seen anything like this before.
Nope. Stop by the Performance Tackle booth.
This is going to be a good deal here.
Same spot every year.
Yeah. Deals that you've never seen before. Good product. Definitely.
Very cool.
Actually, I use these. I still have some of these, but the big one, I think it's like a 7-inch.
Yeah.
I fished that at Casitas in the wheat, in the brush. I swam those in the brush and got them. This is many years ago though, when this first came out, in a kind of a pearl shad pattern with a dark back.
There might be some of those laying around.
Throwing those in Wadley, right in the brush, swimming them through, and they just crash on it.
It's hard to do that right now at Wadley, isn't it?
Yeah. Is there a Wadley anymore? I don't think there's a Wadley anymore.
It's just a like a dirt field parking lot. I can't believe guys aren't fishing the jigs. You know, this is unbelievable.
Look at that box of legit
back in the day,
skinny
guys
bear
would
jigs.
cut their right arm for these, and
We might keep those for the shop.
Yeah,
these are great.
you should.
It's a great product.
There's some other shit
But-
that he's already kind of put aside.
This is
Bunch of, like shit that's still made. Like
Dude, it's-
hooks and shit like that.
yeah.
yeah. These are.
You know what's
gold.
funny is the crankbaits and the jigs relatively untouched
And
because it's like nobody fishes that stuff anymore.
here's another one.
I never got into the tube.
But smallmouth. Hey, smallmouth love this.
The guys that were fishing the
Spotted
tube.
bass.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah.
And out here, I've done really well on them too. But I like flipping tubes though.
Okay.
That's what I like doing. They kind of does this darting,
Like how?
the fall.
How's that again?
It's a different descent on it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and the fish when they see that, it's like they're trying to like, what is that? And they're like doing this. And
Instead
that
of
bait,
just straight up and down.
instead of just that normal that glide, when you get that tube to just do all that meandering, you guys,
How do you spell that?
what's that?
How do you spell that?
meandering.
Meandering. You're too young to know that word. Meandering. I meander. Okay.
Well, you know, you got a handful of jigs there. Let's talk about some jig fishing.
You want to talk about the jig fishing?
Yeah, that's a fundamental. That,
45 was great.
yeah,
Yeah.
Speaking
freshwater bass
speaking
jig
of
fishing.
speaking of jig fishing,
Oh, what do you got in your pocket, man?
Look
What
at
the
that.
heck? What are those gumballs?
look at that. That's all high end. This is a powder coat. That's a exclusive. This guy I hooked up with, and he just sent me out a bunch of powder. And this is just some of it, but it's really neat. And it's just samples that I just made up really quick. That was as in the process of figuring out what I'm going to do. I'm going to come up with a really cool chatterbait, and color schemes that nobody has.
Look at you.
And this is just something just to have the edge, you know.
Always scheming.
And jigs too, and doing my jigs, and my
Okay.
jigs are really cool too. Which is nice when you can tie your own jig and then catch fish on them too.
Yeah,
But-
bring that whole box out.
but
Come on.
But the jig thing, yeah,
Yeah,
that's the deal.
That's the deal today.
Yeah, okay.
We're getting into it. Because there's football jigs, there's arky jigs, there's all kinds of stuff. We'll go around, talk about the setup, line, application.
Hey Joe,
Hey, man.
motor guy. I used to have a motor guy jacket. Somebody
man.
stole it.
Is that pleather or leather?
It's both. You wouldn't even know what that is.
Yeah, we'll make some room right about there. That looks like a good setup. All right.
Wow.
The lost, forgotten art of the mid-range. I mean the jig. What do we got here, Kelly?
Skinny bear jigs.
I'm a little dumbfounded, man, because it's 2018 and it doesn't seem like as many guys, at least here locally, fish a crankbait or a jig like they did 10, 15,
That's
20
just
years
part
ago.
of it. Yeah, there's a lot of nuggets that are being buried that are still work.
That's
time and time
fundamentals.
again. Basics.
Basics.
It's back to basics, but it's not mainstream, so it's not cool.
I think you're about to make it cool.
It's not a depth 250.
Yeah. Okay. Well, just we're going talking about the jigs, and we have a bunch of skinny bear jigs here at Performance Tackle.
Nice little shipment
and,
here.
Gosh, they worked back then. They still work till today, and great bait, hand tied.
Now there's a couple different styles here, right? We got football heads, we got arky heads, we have finesse jigs.
Right. And way I look at it is overall, a arky head can be fished very versatile in a foot of water to 60 feet of water. It's just a versatile head design, and it works everywhere. Football heads are great too.
Let's see that thing up close. So yeah, that's my favorite jig for flipping and pitching.
It's
all kinds of cover.
It's
Wood,
a great all around.
rock.
Great all around jig. Like I say, I'll take that and I can be pitching that shallow. I'll turn it out and I'll throw it in deep water as well too, or on a break line.
Okay.
You know, when you're target fishing or junk fishing, I'm a major junk fisherman. Since I do that a lot too, this head here is shines.
Nice.
And
Yeah, let's talk about casting an arky head in that specific style of fishing a jig, because there's so many different ways you could fish a jig these days.
Yeah, there is. And casting wise, you know, it all goes back to what time of the year too. And typically, like I say, you can fish it shallow, you can fish it deep. It's just a matter of rigging it up with the trailer, the right trailer for the given time of year as well too. And what's your forage base? Are you have more of a crawdad type of forage base, or you have a heavy shad population, especially if you're fishing during the summertime as well? So you know you can mix it up with a shad pattern, crawdad pattern. That's pretty much and bluegill. You can fish the bluegill on the post spawn, bluegill patterns both post spawn and summer as well. Bluegill is just a great all around forage, and they're around all year long too for the bass. They're eating bluegill in 50 feet of water. Little do we know, you know, they go down there. Nice, good sized bass will just suck in a little bluegill, and that'll set them for a few days or a week or so. They won't have to eat again. But
so a jig is a good tool to mimic that.
A jig is a big fish bait as well too, and it catches fish. But the thing is to get the confidence, and that was my big thing always, is the confidence in building up to fish that jig and keep it in your hand. And what I found out is just when you're going to go jig fishing and you want to learn it, just that's all you do is throw the jig.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at that thing, right, and it's pretty crude looking, right? It's got some living rubber skirts.
It is
an ugly weed guard. It's not as visually appealing as like a Mega Bass Dark Sleeper or something that just looks cool.
No, but it gives you the profile, and it's a good size profile to catch a 1 pound fish, a double digit, or a teener. They'll eat this. You know, you put this in the right place at the right time, and they will eat this. And when the jig bite's on, let me tell you, you're on something that nobody else is doing, and when you got it to yourself. And that's my little deal right now. Is just the jig is just a tremendous underfished bait right now that we're not utilizing. And like I say, Performance Tackle has them here, guys, and you're welcome to come on in. And as far as trailers too, you know, you mix and match everything up with the baits. And I lined up a few basics here to keep it simple. You don't need to get crazy and have like 10 different jig colors. You can keep it down to like 4 or 5 jig colors, and you can cover every water clarity, every condition that you come across.
Okay, let's go over those 4 selections and which conditions they would excel in. So like the one you got in your hand right there.
Well, when you're talking a green, an earth tone, greens is a good color, just a good all-around color. And like this, like for example, like to narrow it down, keep it even more streamlined, what I would do in this case, I would tip this with a green pumpkin or a brown trailer as well to have a little contrast. So you don't have to be all full same color all the way through. You can give it contrast and mix and match your jig head with a different color to offset, and not to have 10 different jigs to try and get that other color. You can complement it with the trailer and the jig head together, and you can have a happy medium in all water clarities, all conditions as well. So keep that in mind. Keep your jigs down to like 4 or 5 different colors.
Okay.
Simple. And there's a lot of guys will say black and brown or black and purple. You don't need anything else as far as a jig. A black jig, a brown jig, or a black jig, black and blue, either way, and a brown jig is all you need from East Coast to West Coast. And that's true too. I'm gonna tell you right now, they'll eat black and clear gin water. People don't realize that too. Black is another color that's underfished as well. There's days that when you're throwing the black and they won't eat anything else, it's the black. And who would ever think on our local lakes black would be the color to throw, including swim baits. That's a whole nother story.
Actually, Mike Poo showed that to me back in the day. Oh, hello.
That's confidence.
That's an interesting
If you can throw
jig trailer.
If you can throw a big Senko, see if you can throw that thing.
That takes a special rod there.
It takes a special rod. It's a special man to throw
Special
it too.
character too behind that too.
Yeah.
This will be on another segment.
That's a whole nother video. That's explaining why you have long hair.
So that green, what color water are we throwing that in?
I would throw this in clear, ultra clear water, just to lightly stained water,
Okay.
and you know, a 2-3 foot visibility would be fine. Like I say, you can always complement it in the stained water with a brighter color as well. So you can tip it off with an orange tip or a little chartreuse in there too,
Okay.
and that'll accent it. But this is just good around earth tone color. Brown.
Okay. So when does brown excel?
Brown is a good color as well too. The brown, you can't go wrong with brown. You got brown as an earth tone, and you can mix this up too with the green pumpkins, your trailers as far as earth tone, more natural, and that's just a good all-around color as well too. So you got this shade, and then you have this shade here side by side here. Those two right there can cover quite a bit. And then you can throw in as well, you know, a brown and purple, or you can throw in actually the contrast. So you got a black and blue, which is a good color as well too. So you can really pretty much, and this has got a little red in there for that crawdad imitation as well. But you can mix that right there, and that'll cover pretty much everything in water clarity conditions. That'll cover everything you need to do right there, guys.
Black, brown, green for the most part.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And other than, you know, you see the white, and the only reason why I got that up there, traditionally, you know what, yeah, when there's a shad run, you can throw this during the shad, when there's a shad run. It's good. And I've seen this color white with chartreuse tipped at Castaic Lake in February, and this guy's smoking them.
That was the deal, huh?
But that was when I was a very young person. And I remember that, watching some guys in the back of a cut on the fishing or smoking them on this white jig with chartreuse tip tail.
Nice.
Unbelievable. Well, and your sight fishermen as well coming up now. This
Yep.
time of the year, your sight fishermen.
Well, the reason why a jig is such an efficient sight fishing tool is because of the control you have, right, in the fishability.
Well, we'll get into that. You know, the thing about a jig is most guys overwork the jig, and they're not fishing the jig properly. And to be honest with you, the jig can pulsate and breathe by just a slight movement. And most guys are really aggressive on it. Water temperature will dictate on how aggressive and what you do with this jig. You gotta, like for example, in the winter time, you're gonna dead stick it. You're just gonna drag it on the bottom and stop and wait. Drag it on the bottom, stop and wait. You're not gonna be popping it, hopping it, doing a lot of crazy stuff. Fish are lethargic. As water warms up, You will increase your reactions on how you pull the jig. Pop it every now and then. And you can draw a reaction strike too by sometimes just by popping it up, bring the jig up, let it come down, and they will just crush the bait. I mean, just bone-jarring bites that you will just take the rod out of your hand.
There's nothing quite like a solid jig bite, is there?
Oh my gosh! I mean, literally, it lines tight. There's just nothing stopping you. It's just they're on, and you're on.
And then you get to swing.
Oh my gosh, and the quality of fish too. That's the thing. You're going to bring up the quality of fish on the average. You know, you're going to be catching those 3 pound plus fish more often, and into the quality from there on up. Typically, when the other guys will be catching those 1.5 to 2.5 pound, you're going to catch those 3 pound plus fish on the jig, typically on any given body of water for the most part, because those bigger fish are want a bigger meal, and when they eat that, it's less energy they have to put out to eat the jig, and they'll be on top of it. So remember, just like now, you know, spring is here, even though we have some cold weather right now, but the jig bite is great pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn as well. So you
Really
can
year
fish it.
round for the most part.
And yeah, predominantly, yeah, you can. But there's a lot of times that, you know, the jig bite's going on and actually nobody even takes advantage of it, to be honest
Nobody
with you.
fishes it anymore.
You know, so that itself, you know, but like I say, the trailers will make and break these baits and,
Okay.
and how you rig them up. And what
Let's
you
go
do
over the
with them.
trailers. What do we got
Now,
here?
the trailers, you know, you can narrow it down to size of bait, size of trailer. You match it up together, and
Now, when you say size, you're talking about the overall profile size
the
of
weight,
the bait, or
of the
weight
jig,
of the head?
and I'm going to go back as far as the size overall. 3/8 ounce covers every spectrum of depth. So I mean, from
It's a versatile size.
from 0 to 30 feet.
Okay.
You know, the 3/8 can do it. And now some guys say 30 feet, 3/8. Yeah, but you know what? Then you're going to go down and fish 10 pound. You're going to be fishing 10-pound line on that. I do top shot, you know, and I'm fishing typically on a 3/8. I'll be fishing a 10. Deeper water, 10 pound. Shallow water, 12 pound. That's my margin right there on 3/8 ounce. And I do very well. And also too, when you're fishing the lighter lines too, and you're fishing deep water, as a rule, I cut a third of this fiber, this weed guard off. About a third of it, I take off. There's way too much on here for casting offshore, and you'll see how the.
Why don't you show us?
How the resistance? You want? I can do that.
Yeah.
I'm all ready. I got.
Because that was something I wasn't very
A lot of guys-
confident in doing as a kid.
You know, I've been doing this for a long time, and I'm making my own jigs too now, and gosh, it's so much easier.
Here, you're gonna want scissors.
It's so much. No, it's good.
No, here, use these.
It's good. This is what I do, and I just come back in here as long as these are sharp.
About a third of them, huh?
I come back on both sides of it, yeah. And I just come in behind it, so I don't ruin the integrity of the actual fiber guard there. I just come in and kind of saw it with this single edge razor like that.
So that helps facilitate a clean hook set when you do get a bite?
Oh yeah, it changes everything completely, how the weed guard comes down, and it makes it a lot softer. And you still have, look, you still have it. But all a fish has to do now is just come down, take a bite, and you got a hook in them. All right, so as far as the fiber guard, I've already thinned it out. Now I'm just gonna come in and trim it down, like at a 45-degree angle. And that's what I just did. So now, what happens is when a fish grabs it, you don't get that 90-degree into the roof of their mouth of the fiber guard. It's smooth and it contours with their mouth, and when it comes down, it compresses so much easier, and then you got a bite right into the hook right there, and you're in. And you can also, I do this too, you can also soften it up a little bit. That's what I do. So it's just a little springier. And this is what I use for casting when I'm fishing offshore and I'm casting, not for not for cover. Thick cover, you're going to need to keep the guard intact. But when I'm casting offshore, I thin it down, and that's what I do. And that's what it looks like. That's what you need to do. And then I'll just pair it up with a trailer. And you can use the trailer of your choice. You have to build up the confidence of what trailers you like. This is a great trailer. I mean, it's just awesome. It's a good all-around trailer. And one other thing too, you can also trim your skirt down a little bit too, which this isn't bad. This is pretty good. But I don't like a skirt to go more than a 1/2 inch beyond the hook. And this is pretty close to where you need to be. But if your skirts are hanging down too low beyond the hook, and when you put your trailer on, what happens it stops the trailer from having its action, and all that skirt does is hide the trailer, and you don't get the action from the claws. Bass can't see it as much. A lot of times they don't want a big skirted jig either, so you need to pay attention to what the fish want too. Sometimes too bulky, too much mass is not good either. And you come in with the trailer from the front side here. You come in, pinch it, and you just work it right up. So what you have is a crawl pattern, and that right there, guys, is money. That's money right there.
So you're gonna cast this thing over like rock piles and points.
I'll fish it off. I'll fish it everywhere, from break lines to rock piles, points. Anywhere I would intercept pre-spawn fish, or anywhere the fish would be at, I would be doing that and casting that offshore. And like I say, points are great spots to be fishing jigs. If you know any offshore cover, they're a great spot to fish them. But right there, guys, that's it. That's that's the deal. That's the deal right there. And this color here, to be honest with you, guys don't throw that. This color green, I mean a green with this pattern, it's such an old school color, but yet it still works. It's a great pattern for any time of the year as well. Water quality, water clarity. This is just, we're working all water clarities. But there's times like too you wanna step it up. And I'm gonna go way over here now to the other side of it. And when you're targeting bigger fish on a bigger other type of a body of water, and you got bigger fish out there, and you got the potential to bust that big sack too, you can step it up and you can put a bigger jig, bigger profile trailer on it, which this right here, this is black and blue, standard black and blue jig. Okay.
Dirty water, low light condition.
Yeah, I mean this is you can fish this color anywhere. I mean anywhere. I don't care, clear water, staying water. I don't care if you're in 5 feet of water or in 30 feet of water. There's certain lakes out there that just love black and blue, and when it's on, it's on. You know, you got to be on that bite when it's on.
You been listening to DMX or what?
Yeah. So all you do is work it on, pinch out the claws on the back. So now you got a real crawdad pattern right there.
And then you get ones like that on the jig.
Okay.
Look at that.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
that day?
That's right.
Jig fishing right there.
That fish was
Actually, that was a topwater fish.
Oh, false advertising.
Look at, who's that guy? Look at, is that a jig?
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Look at, who's that guy? Look at right there.
Yep, that's right. We got on a jig bite.
We got on a jig bite.
And in fact, I came up with the color pattern that I custom did the night before. Remember and I dyed I was dipping my skirts and coming up with a real cool green pumpkin.
We had a killer.
Hold on, man. So you guys are telling me you guys are giving a tutorial right now about something you guys actually do?
Yeah.
Nobody does this.
I did my skirts up, really tricked them out.
Nothing giant, but just fun fish.
I got railed in some deeper water on the jigs.
We busted a couple off.
That were just a solid fish.
And this is casting these jigs. Just like we're talking about.
We were casting jigs.
And what are you guys feeling for? Like,
all
Is
this.
there any?
Trees.
We were
Usually they're eating
we
it
were-
on the fall that day.
Oh,
But
okay.
I was soaking my jigs in a
Munda.
it was a
That orange stuff.
Yeah, what's the name of that stuff?
Smelly jelly.
Smelly jelly.
So you guys like scents, like
And I
smelly
put,
jelly.
I put a
Yeah,
scent on it.
pretty different.
I put a
Okay.
scent on it, and it was almost like I was bait fish. All I had to do was throw it out, let it go to the bottom. But half the time you were going right down the middle of the tree, didn't know it, and by the time you hit the bottom, they were already there. I mean, they ate the bait, they were there, and I'm telling you, the quaggas, that was oh my God! I would lay into them, and I was hitting them pretty hard. I broke off a couple real quick, and then I lightened up on my power setting. But when I was hooking these fish, and I was bringing them up 15, 20 feet, thought I was in the clear, and then they'd hit a limb on a quagga mussel and just gone. I was fishing 14 pound, and they were busting me off like it was 2 pound. So you really got to pay attention on where our Southern California lakes are, who are infested with the quaggas as well.
Or across the country now.
You
I mean,
really
they're
have
everywhere
to,
now.
You really had to pay attention to that.
Remember too that scent. It's not always for scent. This rubber skirt stuff, it's gonna want to stick together. It'll stick to the bait. So this thing's gonna fall down. It's gonna hit the bottom. And it's gonna sit like this sometimes. It's not gonna open up because it's just gonna want to stick together. You put the scent, it won't allow it to. That oil base will allow the skirt to, open up.
To
Well,
really
the scent
flare.
will be on the.
Yeah.
You want to concentrate on the scent on the plastic, and put the scent on the plastic, and not on the on these rubber. That's true. On the rubber, they will gum up on you. And also too, if you do use scent, you definitely got to clean your jigs. You can't just stow them away after the fact. Okay, so that's one thing you need to do is you need to pay attention and do maintenance and keep up on your jigs. If not, you're going to end up with a gummy, messy tackle box inside. But going back as far as profile, this bait right here, this is like something you'd be throwing when you're after targeting bigger fish.
And that's a sweet beaver.
And that's just a sweet beaver. You can take the sweet beaver in any color, and you can use that as a trailer. It's just a great all-around trailer. It's a low profile, just something simple, subtle, and that's all it takes a lot of times too. And you can cast this off offshore. You can switch it up to an arky head style. You can pitch it, flip it, or you can go into this casting style, like I say, and fish offshore with it as well.
So what are the main differences between that football head and an arky head?
Well, the football was more designed for deeper water. Guys were swimming. They swam these back on the desert lakes back in the day with Yamamoto trailers. They would put those on there and just swim them, and they were really effective on suspended fish and bottom fish as well. So, as far as when I go, the deeper I go, the more I'm going to fish the round head, the football head I'm going to use. The shallower I'm going to go, I'm going to lean more towards an arky head or trash fish and go from shallow to deep. I'm going to use the arky head style. That's what I'm going to do.
How about rock versus wood cover?
Well, I'm going to use the arky over the football jig for rock. And I'll use this style of head more often, as far as try to be more weed free, and then how you see how the line ties are on these two. They're pretty close, to be honest with you, is how they're set up like that. But I've done better in the structure of fishing the arky versus the football head. The football head just seems to just wedge a little bit more in rocks and cover. But go as light as you can. Don't overdo it on the weight factor. But the lighter you can go, the better you are. And the fish are going to tell you what they want. Another sleeper too is that I'm going to say right now, is that the Yamamotos are underfished as well too.
That used to be a staple.
Just a standard
Right.
Yamamoto trailer, and nobody fishing.
Every tackle shop in Southern California used to have an aisle of just Yamamoto.
This was the deal, but as far as I'm concerned, it still is the deal. The boys up north are still doing this. Okay, tackle stores upstairs got plenty of these up there.
What do you like about fishing a jig while Kelly's out there shopping, Joe? Because it looked like you guys seem to be having fun on that day.
Yeah, it's super fun. I think I overheard him say it's a overlooked big fish bait, you know, and it can catch numbers too. You know, it's super fun. You can fish it so many different ways. It's a super versatile bait. So,
You're in a tackle shop every day. How many guys do you see in here come in looking for jigs anymore?
not many.
That's crazy to me.
It's great. It really is. You know, you don't see it. A lot of people are just, they don't want to slow down. You know, do a lot of reaction stuff, and it's fun and it works. But
I'm surprised the shore guys aren't jumping into this more, because like as a shore angler growing up, my
Yeah.
jig was my structure and cover
Oh, yeah.
finder, because you had
Yeah.
such a great feel, right? You can cast out from the bank, make a long cast,
Make it fun.
and keep your bait in the zone, and then it's, oh wait, I could feel rocks. Oh, I could, that's got to be a tree, right? And then I actually start building a map like my Lake Master charts and my fancy hummingbirds do now.
Yeah.
I built that in my head with the
Yeah.
jig.
Yes,
did.
your jig or bottom bait will definitely let you know where
Yeah.
the cover is. and
That was
what
my
time
chirp
it is.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
seriously.
Me and Scotty Pepla used to let you fish with over at Committee. We fish this one lake, and we'd find these little hydrilla patches way out.
Okay.
Scotty was a man of it. That's his bite. He taught me how to do it. But we'd fish it with a jig, and then we come and usually we just you get the jig in there as best you can, shake that thing hard. And if you couldn't get bit on that, you come back and you just Texas rig a worm with like brass and glass, and it's so hard to get it out there, so hard, so far out. But we go around searching for those with either a rattle trap or a jig.
Okay.
You know,
And like just feeling for it.
feeling for it. And usually, we get a lot of fish. We found some spilling fish, but it's all from the shore too, which was cool.
Yeah, honestly, the
But
jig
the
fishing
jig
from the
was the way to
shore
go.
is a deal,
Yeah.
because that's when I figured out like there were sweet spots on a spot,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh,
you
yeah.
you figure out that one angle. It's like, oh, okay, I'm about to get into this one or two rocks. Like I should get.
Yeah, you'd find your like there's pipes that run in all these park lakes and stuff. You could find them, you're like pink. And you're like,
Right.
oh, here it is, and you just kind of wait and just kind of tink tink.
Yeah, it's
Give it a 20-30 second sit. Sometimes a lot of people are moving it too aggressively. I see.
absolutely.
Like, I mean, sometimes I'll let it sit for a minute, 2 minutes, and then pop.
Especially going back to the days of pork,
Oh yeah.
and I used to use a pork trailer. Like I would literally take like 10 minutes for one cast sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And soak it next to the piling or
Yeah.
that rock pile that I just
Yeah.
felt. That high percentage zone, I would just literally soak that bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to me that guys aren't using these baits anymore, because you can learn so much about the lakes you're fishing, ponds, whatever. Because not only are fish going to bite them, you're going to literally be able to tell what you're fishing out
Yeah.
there.
Structure finder / fish finder. You're getting both ends of it and catching fish as well. So that's the win situation with the jig.
Because the park guys, like we don't have shad.
Right.
Some do. A lot of lakes have a little population of shad. So this is your ideal. I mean, obviously they're eating crayfish and they're eating
Mhm.
that's a perfect imitation of it right there. So from a shore fishing point of view, for guys like me who don't have boats, it's a great tool. It's hard to sometimes go to the park and want to slow down or throw a crankbait and
Right.
a buzzbait and this and that, but if you can just slow yourself down or get away from fishing with Senko, because everyone's throwing a Senko or an Ika, it's like throw that big body bait. It's compact, but it's big. It's a big meal for a bass.
Yes.
As you both guys know, you guys.
It displaces a lot of water. Look at all that
Yeah.
bulk, right?
Yeah.
You got that big head, big skirt, the various types of trailers that are moving water in different ways. Got those flappers on that net bait. You got the beaver tail, which is a little bit more subtle. You got the Yamamoto single and double tail stuff. You got the baby brush hog.
The brush hog,
I showed him a little bit about the brush hog.
we fished that together. That was that was our trailer.
Okay.
That was,
Yeah, this is what I'm showing. Another nugget.
So what's so special about the brush hog that makes you just smile from ear to ear like you just did, man?
I saw that.
The wizard just lit up.
Yeah, I showed Joe that what the deal was on that. I was fishing the big one though.
Yeah, we were
Oh,
fishing
the full
big-
size.
I was fishing a full-size brush hog. Yeah, I was
Man's
fishing,
game.
but I was looking for a big bite.
Okay.
And we were on San V.
Yeah.
And we
Oh.
did that, and it was very rewarding. You know, it made the day. And now, just for overall, just all around, I don't care where you go. I mean, I don't care flat out where you go. I'll just take and I'll cut like a ½ inch up with a tip off, and then what I do is when I thread it on top, and I'll even pinch off. That's another little deal there. And that, what does that do? Well, look at that. Look at the action on that. Can
It's
you
a
imagine?
Gumby.
Can you?
It looks like Gumby.
These
Can
kids
you-
don't know who Gumby
Can
is,
you
bro.
imagine? Can you imagine what that does? Oh my god!
Is that like you on the dance floor right there?
Wow.
That's how the buzzer gets down.
It gives vibration. It moves water. And
I
that's,
bet you do.
That's another video.
Got the hair blowing, disco
So
ball.
what you need to do is thread this on, and easy there, cowboy.
Call me cowboy.
Okay. So all right, guys and girls, we're gonna keep this G-rated. All right, so I'm gonna thread this on. Put my glasses on so I
You're
can
going on
see.
sideways, guy. I don't know where you're going. There. Hey.
How important is it to rig your trailers on straight?
On certain baits, it's very important, I believe. Some baits like this that you're getting a lot of movement, it's not too crucial. But definitely like on like your beaver baits or these, you want them really, because this thing has so many
Appendages. and-
appendages going everywhere. It doesn't.
It's got a lot going on.
There's a lot going on with this, especially like these. Actually, you can keep. A little trick I did is I fish this actually sideways too.
Oh.
And
So you'll
hop
invert
it
the body
quick.
90 degrees, huh?
Yeah, and I fish it fast. Looks like a little bluegill, more imitation.
The little flat profile,
Yeah.
turn on its side.
And I don't open up I might pull these appendages off and then keep this together.
Okay. Just kind of creating more of that fishy
Yeah.
silhouette, that panfish look.
Yeah.
It's a solid tip.
Oh, scrounger head. Did I just say that?
You said it's grounder head?
Yeah.
That's a whole nother video, boys.
Oh boy. Struggling with this right
It's
now.
cool. We can fast forward the video.
All right. So now I got it all rigged up.
I can't tell.
So that's what it looks like. And this is a different profile. It's a different action. You got two actions. You got the flappers, and now you got the action of the curl tails on top of that too. So you're going to get multiple actions on this between the skirt, the flappers, and now you got the tail. So this is another profile, another action that a lot of fish haven't seen. This has been one of my little deals for many years. Don't also forget too is that if you need to trim the skirts down, you can trim your skirts down to give your trailers more action. And a lot of guys don't realize too, even with the swim jigs and chatterbaits and certain baits, you basically, if you have a too long of a skirt on there, or your trailer isn't long enough, it's going to impede on your action and kill it. So sometimes you have to make adjustments with the trailer and also with the skirts on that as well. This is great. This is a perfect combo right here too. So that in itself right there, that covers everything right there. I mean,
You got one more solid one, right? The double tail hula grub.
I got a double tail. I got the double tail here. This is a lot of.
I mean, the grub was the swim bait of the 90s, right? And the 2000s.
yeah, this
Before people were fishing swim baits on everything, like it was the grub.
There's a grab.
that right there. Yeah, that was a deal.
My tournament partner still fishes a single tail grub on his rig.
Same.
A tail and grab.
That's long. What's the word? Has been
long time ago.
long time ago. Yeah, but it's not being used anymore. Single tail guys on the river. Guys on the river were
It's
doing
a
that.
desert lake thing.
That was the desert lake deal. Is the single tail on the river, and there's times they want the single tail, and like for this jig right here, this is a perfect balance right here. You got a 1/2 ounce jig, okay, and you got This is the 5-inch Yamamoto, and it's just a perfect happy medium. And this is something I've done for forever. I mean, for 35 years. I want to say maybe 40 years. I can't even remember how long Yamamoto's been around, but I've been fishing. Well, actually, I was fishing Twin Tees before it was Yamamoto. So that just goes to show you that's 70s. So there you go. Just thread it on, keep it on center. Now these you need to keep on center so it keels, and that's all you have it right there. You're ready to go. Then you got a Yamamoto trailer right there, twin tail, and that right there you can fish it on the bottom. You can swim it, you can hop it, and I like these. Actually, there's times when I fish these Yamamotos, is I fish them in all levels of water depths, but also too is I like to pop these, and they'll come up and I'll flutter them, and they have a great action. They push a lot of water, but they're good in cold water as well, and they're good in warm water. That's one thing I like about the Yamamoto. Doesn't matter what water temperature.
Just fine water.
This thing flat out works in any water temperature. There are certain jigs, like for example, this is more of a compact as far as subtle, less action for colder water, the more lethargic fish, you know, when the fish aren't as aggressive. That's a great compliment right there. Now going back to this pocket chunk here, this, and doesn't matter cold or hot, but predominantly it'll shine more in the warmer water because
those things are flapping all
they
over
kick
the
out
place,
they
right?
displace a lot of water. They kick out pretty good, yeah. And going back down here to my little secret here, this is good around everywhere. Doesn't matter. I fish this in cold or hot water as well too. It doesn't matter. Just good around, just good all around jigs, you know.
Nice.
This is pretty much basic, and it's pretty much a staple standard, you know, for the most part. That these will catch you fish from East Coast to West Coast. Doesn't matter, in any depth of water. So I think we've covered it pretty much. Like I said, keep it simple, guys. You don't need to get too crazy on it. Narrow it down. Use good line. Check your knots. This is one thing, is maintenance and maintaining your knots on these, and because you will get your line frayed up. Even if you're not catching a fish, you'll get your line frayed out. So make sure you're checking your line and be on top of that. And other than that, guys, once you get on this jig bite and you get the confidence level, you'll be on a good thing. And I hope to see some pictures.
Yeah.
You know,
While we're on the subject of line, what kind of line? Are you talking mono? Talking fluoro?
I'm fishing
braid?
fluoro. I'm fishing a top shot. My setup is a top shot, which I'm fishing 30-pound braid with usually anywhere from a 10 to 12-pound fluorocarbon that I fish.
How long?
My fluoro, I'm not traditional. I fish I usually go double rod length on my fluoro leaders, which I do. I do it because of the clarity of the water. Typically I'm fishing, and then also too, I don't have to be retying my top shot. And like I said before, you know, there's even a lot of elite guys that are doing 30, 40 feet fluorocarbon leaders. That's extreme, but I don't do that.
All right, Kelly. So we got our basic rigs down. We talked about the trailers. Now, you touched on line a little bit. What kind of line do you prefer to throw this on generally?
10 to 12 typically I'm using.
Are they like straight fluoro or a fluoro leader?
When I'm using the fluoro leader, you know, with a 30-pound backing braid on it, that's what I'll do. And you know, typically is that. Now, if I'm fishing shallower, more cover, pitching and stuff, then I step it up to the 20 to 25-pound class. But typically for general jig fishing is 10, 12, and that covers it pretty well. And like I say, fluoro is the deal. You got, you know, fluoro line is the deal you got to do. But line management, again,
because you're fishing this around cover and structure
spots,
spots,
to keep an eye. And I'm constantly checking the first 6 feet of my line, because you go over a rock or you hit something and you can literally drag and score that line for several feet. But you know, on a hook set, you get that one good bite, and on a hook set, or that fish powers you and breaks you off. You're like, what happened? Well, I didn't check my line. You know, didn't check it right above the tie, and that's where you have issues a lot of times too. And if I'm catching fish, I mean, I retie a lot. I really do. I just constantly want a good solid.
I hate it. I hate retying.
Well,
honestly, I mean, I don't know how you feel about it, Joe. I mean, you do it as you have to.
I have to.
No, absolutely. But
I've disciplined myself.
I think what's changed for me is the type of line I'm fishing that's allowed me to
Right.
have more leeway and more, you know,
Right.
I'm fishing a very hard fluorocarbon, like
Right.
a sunline shooter, you know, or a sunline structure fluoro. Like if you feel the consistency of it, they have a really tough hardness. You know, it's
the sunline's a good call.
it really lets me just focus on the fishing because it takes so much more abuse.
Definitely. No, that's true.
Or any of the true fluorocarbon leader materials or tend to be that way.
True fluorocarbon.
That's why they only come in like what 27-yard spools typically, right, Joe? Because you just can't cast them, right?
Yeah.
Like
leader
it's just straight leader material.
Leader material.
But it shines for this style.
And
fishing.
it does. When it comes to this type of stuff, you need to do that, and I highly recommend it. You know, and you just have to just make sure that you don't overset on a jig, and you can just basically reel set or load up on it and do a side sweep and wind, but don't do a bill dance over the shoulders. You know,
But that's so fun.
and break fish off either too. So
Well, okay, that
That's-
leads us perfectly into the rods that you like to fish these on. So I see you've got a couple rods here. Why don't you give me the breakdown?
So what we have here is a performance tackle, and this is actually considered, they call this their frog rod, and it's a fast taper on it. It's got a lot of power on the back end of it, but it's got a nice tip on it too.
Let's see what that thing looks like under some load. And tell me what you're looking for in a good overall jig rod here.
Well, this rod right here has got plenty of tip on it that it's got enough tip action where you can load it up and cast, but it's got the midsection power all the way into the backbone, and you can lay into them. You know, I mean, definitely. This blank right here is a versatile blank. I have 5 of these. I carry 5 of these when I go out. People think I'm crazy, but I do. I'll have 2 rigged up with 65-pound braid all year long, and then I'll adjust with the other ones with 50-pound braid, and then I'll do my top shot as well. But this right here is great for half ounce jigs on up.
Okay, what's the length on that?
75.
Okay.
Yeah, and this rod, since I've had this rod is just, like I say, my go-to. I've done so much with this versatility wise, and like I say, as far as the bigger jigs, great deal for bigger type jigs. And
Proof's in the pudding.
your swim.
There's that rod. Here's that jig rod.
Hey.
It's a jig. Shout out to Salta Crew. But yeah, those were
Who was your guide?
Kelly Puppo guided me that day. Thank you, man. This guy's so fun to fish with.
All right,
He's always know it.
we had a good day, didn't we?
We had fun, man.
We turned it around.
That's what this is all about, boys and
Turned it
girls.
around, and Joe was on the dumps a little bit, and I said,
Picked it up with a drop shot bite that day.
I said, I pointed to that side of the lake, and I looked at the horizon, I looked at the terrain, and I said, we're gonna go over there and catch some fish, Joe. And he's probably thinking, yeah, right. So we go on over.
Don't fluff me, Jesus.
We go on over, and he breaks out the drop shot, and he's banging one after another. I mean, one after another. At that time I
You're eating lunch.
I ate lunch. I regrouped. I'm having fun watching him, and he's just having a ball.
Yeah.
I'm in the back and just watching. He's having a ball. I'm like, oh, this is gonna get better. And I'm already thinking, yep, I'm gonna break out the jig and I'm gonna start catching some fish.
So tell me about that mentality. Why the jig?
Well, Joe's catching males and smaller fish
Okay.
up tight in cover, and visibility was 30 feet.
Yeah.
Every bit of 30 feet, and he was just going around up tighter in that first 15-foot, 20-foot zone, and he was just banging them out. You know, up to what, 2.5, maybe 3 pounds.
So you're thinking I'm gonna put the jig on.
So I'm already enjoying myself having lunch, and I already had my jig plan already out the gate, but I needed to just build myself up. And that alone right there, I saw that opportunity. And we went down, and no sooner, I mean, we got that down, the jig bite just materialized. And those 3.5, 4 pound fish came into the whole play. And
So they did produce a better quality fish on average, huh?
and I broke off a couple good ones. Oh yeah, I did. You know, but they were
He's a fish ashore.
they were there. They were definitely there. Yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, that was a day that I can't complain. And you know, you salvage an average mediocre day that's not that great, and you can turn it into a good positive day.
That wind helped us too, I think.
Had a little bit of wind, but but another thing too, we fished the shade. By then, the shade was on that. There was a lot of shade on that area, on that side of the lake too. But we caught fish. We're catching fish in 25, 35 feet of water as well. But this rod, though, I'll tell you what, it's a great all-around rod. I highly recommend any of you guys who want to step up and get a versatile blank rod that Mark here over at Performance Tackle, Tommy will build you one. And this is a great stick right here. Like I said, I have 5 of them.
Nice. What's the best way to do that, Joe, for you guys?
Just call the shop. Shop number 714-826-1400. And your best bet's ask for Tommy or Mark, but anyone who answers the phone can pretty much help you with it. So
Keep the crank calls to a minimum.
yeah, please.
And how about a reel, Kelly? What are you looking for as far as like gear
It's the
ratio and
TD,
stuff?
I'm using the same TD.
Yeah.
I'm using, you can go 6.3 to 1 or 7, either or, whatever your preference is. I'm just old school. I stick with a lot of 6.3 to 1s, and I do have the 7s as well too when I'm fishing more reaction type stuff as well. But the 6.3 to 1 to me is just a versatile all around gear ratio, and the Team Daiwa this has just been bread and butter for me as well too. And this matched up with this rod here is a perfect complement. I mean, balances out well, handles well. I can't say enough about it. You know, again, I have 5 of them, so
I think that says enough.
definitely.
Dope. So yeah, come in the shop, guys. Performance Tackle. Nice little selection of jigs here for you guys to choose from. And guys that actually live it.
Come in, say hello.
Oh yeah,
Got more questions. They got the answers.
come on down.
Might even run into Bass Jesus if you're lucky.
Bring a Sharpie.
Been known to be here. Bring your Sharpies.
Do they need to bring their own portrait of you, or are you going to have those available on print soon?
Fred Hall Show.
You can snap them off my Instagram page. Bring them on Performance Tackle page,
man.
bring them in.
That's coming, guys. That's coming.
Killing me.
Like it though. Like it.
There it is.